Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your day. Guys, thank you. Thank you for the community that you guys are building, because I'm only one of many now, and I so appreciate that. Thank you for your kind words. And when we disagree, that's okay. Thank you for the respect in the way that we disagree. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate communication in the chat. I do get in the chat, and I communicate as well. So thank you for that. I'm getting quite a few emails now, and I appreciate them. It takes me a minute. I'm also doing some stuff on the side. There's something that I'm going to be putting out this weekend, I believe, that I'm going to be interviewing somebody. I still have to do a little research on that. In the meantime, I want to put this video out now just to explain what happened with my take on the Gypsy Rose Blanchard situation, or the unaliving of Dee Dee Blanchard situation. And a few of you have said to me, hey, be careful with Fancy, or I'm a huge fan of Fancy's. I don't know Fancy. I've gotten a lot of information from her channel and from Nina the influencer, the beauty influencer, and from Rachel Garlic, her stuff that she put up there, and from the stuff that I've actually seen from the docudramas and the documentaries, and the things that I've read on my own that I've seen. So here's what happened to me, or here's what happened with me when I saw. Originally, when I heard about the case, I always thought, wow, that was a real stretch to go from just the way that Dee Dee was unalived. I kind of understood how somebody could feel trapped and that somebody was being abused, meaning Gypsy, and how she could be pushed to feel like that's the only way that she will ever be free, how her mind could think that. You know, I saw it as a reason, not as an excuse, but as a reason. And then, you know, we started realizing that the little girl wasn't a little girl, but a young adult. And that she didn't have that high-pitched falsetto voice, but more of a voice that I'm sure she used around her mom. And the fact that she did have working legs and she was able to use them and didn't need a wheelchair at all. And the fact that I believe she had three, think about the three people that could genuinely have used them. 3 kids, right, at that time, that could genuinely have used them. So when the facade of Gypsy started cracking, that's when I started saying there's something more to this, and I need to back up and look again, just for it to make sense to me. Double jeopardy, she ain't going back to prison unless they could find another charge for her, which I don't think they would on this, because of statute of limitation and double jeopardy, period. She can make money off of this because the Son of Sam laws no longer really exist in a lot of the area of this country, and in the area of the country that Gypsy lives in, it's not a problem for her to make money and profit off of a crime. That's just the way it is. So she could be as cocky as she wants. Now it's all a matter of public opinion. And what public opinion is. It wasn't Fancy that made me question Gypsy at all. It was Gypsy that made me question Gypsy. It was the interrogation tape of her talking to the police officer about Disney World and Universal Studios and Harry Potter and Princess Diana's dress and Titanic exhibit and the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of that, and having too much sugar and jumping around and running around and finding out, whoa, what? Hold the phones. This isn't a child. This isn't somebody that had somebody talk something into their head. Not when you saw the text messages. How she was able to talk Nicholas into it, and not right away. You know, they were together for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, I think, right? So I started seeing her in a different light. I started seeing her as what I think she is, and that's a manipulator. So in my head, before I ever knew of a fancy, or before I ever knew that anybody else had the theory and was saying it out loud that Gypsy was part of the con, I figured that out on my own because of Gypsy. She showed me that. She can't get out of her own way. Anybody that can unalive somebody, and especially their mom, or have it done and know what's going on. I mean, if you were to just listen to Gypsy's side, let's say we were just listening to Gypsy's side, she would have had to have sat, calculated it, because, right, she sent the knife to Nick, talked Nick into it. That's proven. Gypsy could say what she wants, but there's no proof of that. There's proof that she talked Nick into this. So, got the knife, planned the whole thing out, sent him money, Nick, brought him to where she lives, and then stood in another room and listened to the ending and unaliving of her mom. Then to cook brownies, then to clean up without wearing any clothes. You could blame Nick for that, but it was Gypsy's idea. And having sex in the room next door to the one that they just unalived her mom in. You don't think that's evil? Somebody said, almost like proudly, like, look at what it took. I mean, look, that she was the only person to ever unalive the person that she was tethered to with Munchausen by proxy syndrome. So there's a lot of people, apparently not a lot, but if people with Munchausen by proxy, there's quite a few, unfortunately. She was the only one to unalive her person too, right? She was the only one. Why? You think she had it the worst? The very worst? You think her mom was making her have all of that medication? Okay, let's say that she was. At a certain age, that stopped because the doctor's records and everything stops around 2011, 2012, right? At the end of 2011, everything kind of stops. This unaliving occurred, 2015. Gypsy had already knew how old she was, already knew she could walk. She could have. If her mom would have found her, she knew how old she was. I don't want to go back. Police get involved. I don't want to go back. Look at what she made me do. Look at what she made me do. She could have sold a story on that alone. But she would have looked like the grifter that she was. Now she's a grifter and a murderer, which looks better. And I say that because she was convicted of second-degree murder. So what does that make her? Nobody talked me into what I think of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, except for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I'm not really going to get into her family because they weren't the ones that did this crime. They weren't the mastermind. I don't care what type of people they are. It doesn't matter to me because you know what? They're not. I'm not a police of people's character, but I do have something to say about somebody who has been on the TV screens, on the talk shows, and everything, and that has put their life out there for us to make judgment, pass judgment on. As a matter of fact, she put her life out there so much that there was just the judge that decided her fate, right? Because she took the plea. So she's allowed herself to be criticized by the public because she's put herself in the public eye. And in the public eye, she's done really not such a good job because when you don't tell the truth, you don't remember what you told. You have no connection to it. I just can't believe that she's making millions. I guess back if it would have been the time for the O.J. Simpson trial today, he could make millions too. So just think about that. When do we say it's okay for that? And I know she did 8.5 years. You think that she learned something? Do you really think that she learned something? I'm going to ask you guys, do you think she learned something from the way that she behaves now? And I've said before, a few people have asked me about Ryan. I think she married Ryan and picked Ryan. And I think she married Ryan because she feels like she can manipulate Ryan. And I feel like she can manipulate Ryan too, because all good sense, if he ever had any, has left the building with him. And yeah, I could say that. I've heard him. Yeah, she was real cute. I thought she was real cute. Damaged. You know, you never saw that. Your good sense didn't come in there. That's not the head you were using, right? She was real cute. Well, I feel like she could totally manipulate him. I feel like a lot of the things that she has done to him is the same things that she has done to Nick. If you look at it, it is very much. When she asks Nick, I don't know if you guys know this, but she texted Nick before she was going to live with him and said, "Is it if I wanted to have sex with another man, would that be okay before we left? How would you feel about that?" And didn't she say something like, "Well, I had a dream, Ryan, that Ken wanted me back, and I left you for him." So, I mean, I see just a pattern that continues here. And I feel like she definitely needed a different address, because you have to be paroled out to somebody. You have to, you know, that's what you're going to do. They're not going to let you, you know, paroled, probation. You're going to be, yeah, you have to be held accountable. You know what I'm saying? So, and you have to have an address. And I'm pretty sure that you just can't be paroled to, you know, you just can't be put out to, it was either going to be, it had to be a family member. So I think that, you know, that she didn't want her stepmom in her shit. She didn't want her dad in her shit. Good people, bad people. There's some untruths going on. I don't know. But this isn't about them. They didn't commit the crime. So unless I see something directly connected to, you know, that's not the story that I'm telling. Anyway, guys, I will say it's going to continue on with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Anyway, guys, I have a couple more videos to do. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think, please. All right, guys, thanks again for everything. I so appreciate you. I hope that you know it, because I do. And if you have any ideas of what you'd like me to discuss and talk about, please tell me in the chat, or you can hit me up at toddy1skip@gmail.com. This is Issues with yeah. This is Issues with Toddy1skip. I am Toddy1skip. Don't forget, be better today than you were yesterday, but not half as good as you're going to be tomorrow. Thanks, guys.